from home, it's the dream, right?
Yeah, for sure.
No commute, like total flexibility, maybe even like, those pajama bottoms during those early morning meetings. We all know the perks. We love it.
Absolutely. Who doesn't love a little extra comfort during the workday, you know?
Right. But here's the thing. What if I told you that our beloved WFH situation could actually be, I don't know, maybe secretly impacting our chances of landing that big promotion?
Oh, really?
And not just like a small way, like some studies I was reading suggest that remote workers are up to 40% less likely to get those promotions, even when their performance is basically the same as their in-office colleagues.
Yeah, it is kind of head scratcher, isn't it?
It is.
Like we think we're crushing it from, the comfort of our home offices.
Yeah.
But the reality is promotions often depend on, more than just performance.
Okay.
It's this thing I've heard some experts are calling it presence over performance.
Okay.
The idea that being seen, being heard in the workplace sometimes trumps the actual work itself.
So it's not enough to just be killing it in our little WFH bubbles. We need to be more, I don't know, strategic about it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you know what? On this episode, we are actually doing a deep dive into, it was an episode of the Office Age podcast.
Okay.
And they broke down some surprising ways working from home could be holding us back. The first one they talked about was visibility. When we're not physically present in the office, it's easier for our contributions to be overlooked, even if we're like exceeding expectations in our work.
Yeah, no, I've definitely felt that. Like I can spend, all day in meetings, contributing ideas. I'm doing the work.
Right.
But it's not the same as those, quick little hallway chats where you like solve a problem on the fly and everyone's like, wow, you're amazing.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
The Office Age podcast actually called these hallway moments, and honestly, they're more important than I think any of us realize.
Really?
These quick interactions where you can showcase your problem-solving skills and like build those relationships and just stay top of mind, it can make a real difference when it comes to like, those promotions.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they're a lot harder to replicate remotely.
So we're missing out on those little moments that build our reputation, even if we're like getting all of our work done.
You got it.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it like this. You could be the top performer on your team, but if your manager isn't seeing your work ethic or how you handle like challenges every day, it's easy for them to forget about you when that promotion opportunity comes around.
Yeah, it's like that saying, out of sight, out of mind, but it's like applied to our careers.
Exactly. And it's not just about like, looking busy or being present for the sake of it. It's about those organic interactions that demonstrate your value, build trust, and just like solidify your position within the company,
Okay, so visibility or lack thereof is a major factor here. What else did this, what was it called, the Office Sage podcast, what else did they highlight as like a potential pitfall of WFH when it comes to these promotions?
Networking.
Oh, networking.
Building strong relationships is so crucial for career advancement, and fortunately, that's another area where remote work can pose a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, building relationships virtually it hits different,
It does.
You can have all the Zoom calls in the world, but it's not the same as, I don't know, like grabbing coffee with a colleague or staying late to help with a project. You're not building those same connections.
You are preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
In a physical office, those opportunities for connection, they happen organically,
Yeah.
You build rapport, you build trust, you build camaraderie through shared experiences. But when you're working remotely, you have to be much more intentional about creating those moments.
So we need to be strategic about building our networks even from afar. Okay. What's the best way to do that? Should we be like scheduling virtual coffee breaks or something?
That's actually a great idea. Virtual coffee chats, quick check-in calls with colleagues, even just engaging more in team chats. Those little interactions, they can go a long way.
Okay.
But you know what?
What?
There's another layer to this whole remote work dilemma that the podcast touched on, and it's a big one.
Oh, no. Okay, hit me with it. What else do we need to be aware of?
Office politics.
Office politics. Ugh, that's my least favorite game, even when I am in the office. How does it even work remotely? Is it all like secret Slack channels and trying to read between the lines of emojis?
Yeah, you're not wrong to be wary. But think of it this way. Office politics at its core is just about understanding the unwritten rules, of the game. Who to connect with, what matters to leadership, those subtle little power dynamics that kind of influence decisions.
Yeah.
And when you're working remotely, it's so much harder to pick up on those cues.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like I might be putting all of my energy into this project that seems, super important to me.
Yeah.
But, if it's not even on my boss's radar, or even worse, it's something that another team is like trying to take credit for. I'm basically like shooting myself in the foot.
Yeah. That's a common trap, I think, for remote workers.
Yeah.
When you're not in the office, you miss those casual conversations, the overheard in the hallway moments that can give you like really valuable insight into what's really going on.
Okay.
You might be blindsided by a decision that seems to come out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, it's been brewing behind the scenes for weeks.
Oh, so how do we avoid that? Should we like all become master eavesdroppers on Zoom calls or something?
There's a better way.
Okay, good.
Remember how we were talking about being intentional about networking?
Yeah, yeah.
That is key here. Instead of just like focusing on building relationships with your immediate team, branch out.
Oh, okay.
Schedule virtual coffees with people in different departments, attend company-wide meetings, even if they're not mandatory, and just like make an effort to stay informed about what other teams are working on.
So be a strategic networker.
Yes.
It's like LinkedIn, but for the inside of the company.
Precisely. You want to be the person who's in the know, even if you're not physically present. Because when it comes time for promotions, it's not just about who's doing great work. It's about who has like a broader understanding of the company, the challenges, the opportunities.
Okay, this is all starting to make me a bit anxious. It feels like there's this whole, I don't know, like hidden rule book to succeeding while working remotely. And if you don't, get your hands on a copy, you're doomed.
I hear you. It can definitely feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
But that's why we're doing this deep dive.
Okay, good.
The good news is the Office Sage podcast didn't just outline the problems.
Okay.
They actually offered some really, really solid solutions.
Okay, good.
Are you ready for some actionable tips?
Yeah.
Things you can start doing today to kind of combat this whole WFH promotion paradox.
Absolutely. Hit me with your best shot.
First and foremost, become a master of self-promotion.
Okay.
And I don't mean like bragging or being obnoxious,
Right.
but you do need to get comfortable advocating for yourself
Okay.
and making sure that your accomplishments are seen.
Okay, so like don't just silently submit that report and hope for the best.
Exactly. Schedule a quick follow-up with your manager, highlight like the key takeaways, and then tie them back to the bigger picture.
Okay.
Did your work save the company money?
Huh.
Did it improve a process? Did it make a client really happy?
Okay.
Make sure that they know.
Okay, so it's about like owning our wins even if it feels a little, I don't know, awkward at first.
Yes. And don't be afraid to use data and metrics to kind of quantify your achievements too. Because it's one thing to say, oh, I did a great job on this project.
Yeah.
But it's much more impactful to be like, I implemented X strategy, which resulted in, Y% increase in Z.
Right.
Numbers speak volumes.
Data is king, even in the world of remote work.
Yeah.
I like it. What else can we do to like boost our visibility?
Be strategic about which projects you take on. Volunteer for things that align with your career goals, even if they're outside your comfort zone a bit.
Okay.
And when you're in meetings, don't just be a fly on the wall. Speak up. Share your ideas. Show that you're like engaged and invested.
So make those virtual interactions count.
You got it.
Right.
Now, beyond visibility, we do need to talk about connection.
Right.
How do we replicate those water cooler moments, and just like build genuine relationships when everyone is so scattered?
This is where I struggle, I'll be honest. I'm more of a like put your head down and get the work done kind of person. But you're saying we need to be more, I don't know, proactive?
Yeah.
Almost like we're like networking at a virtual happy hour, but every day.
It's not as daunting as it sounds.
Okay.
Think of it as like building these micro connections throughout your day.
Okay.
So like, did a colleague just knock out an awesome presentation?
Yeah.
Shoot him a message, say, hey, heard you killed it on that presentation. Grabbing coffee later, want to join me? Or like maybe you saw a coworker share, I don't know, an article on like a new marketing strategy that you've been thinking about.
Yeah.
That's a perfect opening to send a quick message.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, great article. Would love to pick your brain about this sometime. You free for a quick chat this week?
So it's about being, I guess, like more intentional with those little interactions that would normally just kind of happen, organically in an office.
Yes.
Instead of waiting for that water cooler moment, we need to like create our own, virtual water cooler.
Exactly. And remember those, those internal communication platforms we were talking about?
Yeah.
Those can be like a gold mine for building these connections too.
Oh, you mean like actually participating in the company-wide Slack channels instead of just, lurking and reading everyone else's conversations?
Yes, share your wins, comment on other people's posts. Don't be afraid to start those conversations. Visibility is key, and these platforms are basically like virtual hallways where you can bump into colleagues from different departments, showcase your expertise.
Yeah. It's like that saying, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. But in this case, it's like network for the promotion you want, not the position you have.
Love it. And, here's another tip. If your company offers a hybrid model, even just like a day or two in the office, that can make a huge difference for visibility and connection.
Okay. Yeah, that
makes sense.
But what if you are fully remote?
Right.
Or what if those, in-office days are more about like heads down work and not so much, socializing?
Totally. In those cases, it's about really maximizing those virtual interactions.
Yeah, okay.
So can you shift a few meetings to video calls instead of just phone calls?
Okay.
Can you schedule, I don't know, like a virtual coffee break with a colleague once a week? Every little bit helps.
So it's about being, I guess, like strategic and just finding those opportunities to connect, even if it's just for 15 minutes.
Absolutely. And remember, building a strong network isn't just about helping you get ahead.
Right.
It's also about creating a sense of community, a sense of support,
Yeah.
which is so important when you are working remotely.
This has been a real eye-opener, this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
It feels like we've uncovered this whole hidden rule book to succeeding while working remotely.
And now you're equipped to write your own success story.
I love it.
Remember, the future of work is all about adaptability. By being proactive, by being intentional, and maybe just a little bit strategic, you can thrive in any work environment.
So true. So true. It's not just about, working from home. It's about working smarter.
There you go.
And on that note, we have reached the end of our deep dive. Be sure to check out the Office Sage podcast for even more insights on, navigating this crazy modern workplace. And listeners, we want to hear from you. How are you mastering the whole remote and hybrid work game? Share your tips, your tricks, your triumphs, on social media using the hashtag the deep dive. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep crushing it.